first. Is it possible that my client did not kill Mrs. Beekman?
Oh, no, it was definitely her.
And you remember the events of the evening clearly? Because I know that you have a history of memory loss.
Objection, Your Honor.
Goes to credibility.
I'll allow it.
Mr. Castle, is it true that on May 12th, 2014, you were abducted by parties still unknown and then returned 8 weeks later?
Yes.
And you still have memory loss?
Only of those 8 weeks. My memory of your client killing Mrs. Beekman is crystal clear.
But how can you be sure?
Because I was an eyewitness.
Ah, so glad that you used that word. Eyewitness. Now, Mr. Castle, you gave a reading of Driving Heat on the evening in question, the continuing adventures of Nikki Heat. Why don't you humor the court and just give us a short reading? Just the highlighted section, if you please.
Nikki had seen it often, as every cop had. Otherwise, reliable eyewitnesses conflate or confuse details that seem indelible to those not caught up in the trauma of the incident.
According to previous testimony, you use your expertise with the NYPD to add authenticity to your stories. Is that correct?
The defendant killed Mrs. Beekman. I know what I saw.
Just like you knew what you saw on February 2nd, 2015? Mr. Castle, did you give a statement to a Detective Neely of Westchester PD that you were an eyewitness to the murder of Eva Whitfield and that her husband Cole was the killer?
Yes, I did.
And was Cole Whitfield the killer?
No.
So you've been wrong before.
That incident was a setup. What happened to Mrs. Beekman was not. I saw the defendant kill her.
Says the man whose own writings speak to the unreliability of eyewitnesses, a man who was given false eyewitness statements in the past, a man with a history of memory loss.
Marcus, help him.
Don't you think I would if I could? Mr. Castle, let's pretend that you're a character out of one of your novels. Would Nikki Heat think that you were a reliable witness?
That is a ridiculous question. And yes, she would.
I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Castle. I thought you of all people would be sympathetic to my client. Weren't you once framed for murder?
That was 3XK, the serial killer. He had a vendetta against me. That was different.
But why is it different for you but not for my client? What makes you so special, Mr. Castle? Dr. Parrish testified that the victim, Mrs. Beekman, was alive for 5 to 10 minutes after being stabbed and in excruciating pain. Might it be that my client simply came across the victim after the true killer stabbed her and fled? This is not one of your stories, sir. You do not get to make up the facts as you see fit. Now, my client is fighting for her life, just as you once fought for years against 3XK. So now, I ask you one last time, is it possible, Mr. Castle, that my client did not kill Mrs. Beekman?
Yes, it's possible.
Yes, it is possible. Possible that you are wrong. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Castle, you may step down.